Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I just left the courtroom for the bond hearing for my son for the lease for the third time. This time it was very fair. The judge was very fair. He wasn't pro-prosecutor, he wasn't pro-defense, but he was pro-justice.
Hey, what's up, y'all? Y'all know my slogan. I don't know it all, but I know what I've been through. Now, before we get into this video, make sure you check us out on Patreon at www.patreon.com/Hookah Anonymous _. You guys been telling us to create one for the longest, so we recently created a community where we will upload videos that we can't share on YouTube due to their guidelines. We'll also be dropping the latest to there first, behind the scenes information that you wouldn't find anywhere else on our socials. So make sure you become a member, and after you do that, head over to our official Instagram page at Hookah Anonymous _ and follow us there. Now without further ado, let's get into what you guys came here to see. Now, I probably could have betted my last dollar that today wasn't going to be the last deciding day within this case when it came to Lil Durk getting a bond for his release or not. At this point, the whole situation is starting to be one big Tubi movie where everybody is tuned in just to see what happens next. Now, I told y'all before, the fact that Durk was granted not one, not two, but 3 bond hearings all within the last 6 months is still crazy to me. But like I always tell y'all, it's like these rappers abide by different types of laws than the rest of us. Now, as we told y'all earlier, one of the deciding factors, well, 2, when it came to Durk getting released, which was the fact that he posed as a potential threat for the victims' families, as well as anybody that may cooperate, his name being included in another sealed indictment for a similar charge, and lastly, him breaking the rules of the federal facility by using other inmates' pins to make third-party calls on the phone. However, we will find out today that Durk's attorneys came to play as they will have a counter for everything that was holding him back from his last 2 bond hearings. According to federal prosecutors, Durk would no longer be involved in the shooting death of Stephon Mack, who was said to be unalive due to him having a hand in Lil Durk brothers D-Thing's passing in 2021. Lil Durk was being accused of allegedly paying 2 suspects to take Mack's life as retaliation, but according to court documents, they basically haven't presented enough evidence that can 100% assure Lil Durk's involvement, which I find strange because they did have some evidence according to their investigations, where at most, they probably could have hit him with a conspiracy charge. However, they stated that they don't wish to move forward with the charges against Durk in that case, so just like that, he's no longer being indicted on that case. Interesting. But as I always say, the feds play tricky games, so I wonder what do they got up their sleeve, because I have a hard time believing they did all that investigating to include Durk's name and then say he was involved just to not pursue him and then drop the ball like nothing ever happened. That's very unlike them. Now, when it comes to the phone calls, which was another thing that was hindering Durk's release, according to a woman by the name of Stephanie Forrest, who's been a part of DOP for 21 years, she says that the calls weren't criminally motivated and he was never given an incident report for the jail's violations, so it may not even be considered a serious offense. Just an excuse to say the least. Now, did District Judge Fitzgerald agree with that? And that's another factor that can now be deleted from the equation, and it leads to one last thing: Durk being a potential threat to society. Now, the last judge, Magistrate Judge Donahue, made this part very clear, and to be honest with y'all, this is probably the only thing that I think would stick more than any of the other accusations holding him from being released. Federal prosecutors said the last time that Durk was a potential threat to society, alluding to him having money and power to get people to do things for him. So him being free could jeopardize the life of the victims and or victims' families, as well as the people who are willing to cooperate against him, which may taint the case if he's released. Now, to be honest with you, this makes the most sense out of everything else that I heard. Now, he's already been accused 2 times for criminal and for hire, which means that he's putting money on people's heads allegedly, according to the feds, which will make it harder for them to pin him to anything because he could get things done without getting his hands dirty. So if you was a Fed agent or a federal prosecutor it'd be in your best interest to keep him inside because you don't want to jeopardize anything happening to the case, because who knows what may happen. Who knows who may go missing. Who knows if people just decide not to go to court, whether it's because of physical damage that was done or maybe monetary gain being offered to anybody so they wouldn't show up to court. It's a lot of things that could happen, and I guess they don't want that to show up. Now, one of the people who are fighting to keep him inside, because they're saying that they also fear for their safety as well, is Lil Pab's mother. She actually showed up to the bond hearing, and she had a few things to say herself. Megan Cuniff, who covers most of these celebrity trials, was actually present at the courtroom today and will update us on everything that came out. According to her, she would tweet saying, quote, "The victim's mother traveled to Los Angeles from Savannah, Georgia, and says she fears for her life. The hearing is over. Judge Fitzgerald said he'll issue his ruling later. Victims Savannah Robinson's mother showed reporters this memorial button. Savannah, my son, my best friend. She had him when she was 15, and he was her only child." Now, when it came to the whole bond hearing as a whole, and the decision being made on whether Durk is released or not, she would tweet, quote, "Judge Fitzgerald has not yet decided if Lil Durk would get bail. He heard argument from Durk's lawyer, Drew Finley, and prosecutors about the bail motion and the request for grand jury transcripts. He also heard from the victim's mother, who wept as she talked about my baby." Sheesh. Now, to be honest with y'all, when it comes to that, like the mother coming to court, it shows that the victim has support. So it's not just one of those where they could just overlook the victim and think that he's just another statistic or he's somebody that didn't have anybody behind him. The fact that she came to court could make a little difference when it comes to the deciding factor, because not only did she say that she feared for her life, she also let it be known that she's still grieving. So when the judge actually makes a decision, he'll definitely have to keep the mother in mind, considering she says she's hurt and she fears for her life. So with the prosecutors already feeling that Durk would be a threat to society and have already mentioned that Durk having money and power is a bad thing, then she's saying that she fears for her life, it's not a good look. However, we would just have to wait and see for the ruling from the judge, which could take place either tomorrow or even a few days from now. We wouldn't know until it's time. Now, one person that seemed to be in good spirits is Lil Durk's father. He would address everyone via Instagram, as he would state that the judge seemed more fair and actually listen to both sides, as he feels it's possible that Durk will be coming home.
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I just left the courtroom for the bond hearing for my son for the lease for the third time. This time it was very fair. The judge was very fair. He wasn't pro-prosecutor. He wasn't pro-defense, but he was pro-justice. So he listened to all the evidence, and he's gonna give a ruling in the next few days about what his position is for the bond. But we were very pleased at how it turned out. So continue, family, friends, and fans, continue to keep us in your prayers, and we thank you. And inshallah, God willing, this be victorious for it, that we have a good ruling in our favor.
Once again, I guess we'll just have to wait and see. But in the meantime, y'all let me know what y'all think about all this. Do y'all feel Durk possibly coming home, or would it just end up like the last two bond hearings and he'll just have to wait until October when he's scheduled for trial? Now, I don't know, but they did say that the man is coughing up a whopping $5 million bond package this time around. So he definitely upped the stakes, but like I said, I guess it's just up to the judge. Y'all jump in the comments, let me know what y'all think about this. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Hit that bell so you're notified every time we drop new content. And remember, as long as you keep on watching, I'm going to keep on dropping. And I'm out.